Construction is finally complete. Welcome to the Shinra Electric Pony Company.
Wow, you built all of this?
Well, yeah. It wasn't easy, but now we have a source of power for the secret rift.
But why the Shinra Electric Pony Company?
It's a reference to one of my favorite games of all time.
Oh, well, why though? I mean, I've played the game before, but why do people like it so much?
Well, that's just hard to explain. Even if I was to review the game right now, it's actually so big that you kind of need to experience it just to understand it. So maybe they can. I have an idea.
Come again? Oh? Oh.
Okay, this game is a touchy topic. I mean, I love this game and the universe it was set in. I played the heck out of this game as a kid trying to figure out the story. I've looked into the lore, the gameplay, its expansions, their spin-offs, and the continuations of the games in this series. And even today, I don't know if I can call myself an expert on the game and the expansive lore and details both fans and its creators put out for it. The good, the bad, the absurd, and the amazing things you see in this title when you look at it and really push the boundaries of what it means to play this game.
It's been revisited and rehashed as one of the most amazing titles of its era, and the mere mention of it as a game was just daunting to me to look at as a reviewer. The game that broke the mold for JRPGs going into the 3D era. I'm of course talking about Final Fantasy VII.
Now, younger gamers have come into this era looking at the game as dated. The game came out in 1997 after all, back when the console wars were still flaring and Nintendo had to deal with a new competitor on the scene, the Sony PlayStation. Up until this point, Nintendo had been the main platform for the Final Fantasy series. And truth be told, Final Fantasy VI was a big venture for the SNES itself. It had a multi-ethnic, tiered story based on magic, an empire researching an ancient race, a resistance, and a betrayal leading to a world-threatening crisis. What was Square to do next?
I mean, aside from making their next game a multi-tiered story based on magic, an empire researching an ancient race, a resistance, and a betrayal leading up to a world-devastating crisis?
Hey, Square had its own formula for storytelling. It didn't mean the games were exactly the same, it just meant that there was a basis for them to start from. And despite similar themes, Final Fantasy VII was an amazing story and concept at the time.
Moving forward though, Square made a decision. They began development on a game with very simple visual graphics for the overworld because of the data constraints for a cartridge for the Nintendo. They however became more ambitious and moved on to Sony, who had moved on from the idea of cartridges based on systems using CDs for their games instead.
This somewhat explains the design for the models being a bit deformed. Once they signed on with Sony, they pushed for improved graphics and cutscenes. Nowadays, we look at these graphics as being dated, but this was a technological leap in the industry. And this game was a landmark at a point where 3D games were being pushed as a reality rather than just some gimmick.
Couple that with its storytelling and combat visuals, it was really something to look at. Of course, some people might have a problem with the game's lore, as the longer the game lore was expanded upon, the more people realized Square Enix was just trying to make more money off nostalgia with each of their iterations. Before Crisis, Crisis Core, re-release of the main game for new systems, Advent Children, Dirge of Cerberus. Now this doesn't mean they were always giving something bad, far from it. But I feel like at this point, I have to hold my breath just to see what we're actually going to be getting with the remake that was announced a few years ago.
This was actually my first introduction into the Final Fantasy series as well. Playing this game as a kid really blew my mind. I mean, up to that point, I was just playing platformers and reaction-based games. This game took strategy and had you customize and equip your party. It made you think about who you would use and how you could better use them in combat, and you had the freedom to equip them any way you wanted to. It made me question the concepts of life and death when you lose a party member. It even made me question concepts of how you treat the environment and the gray areas that exist when you're doing things in the name of science and progress. Though admittedly, I was still young, and I wasn't able to pick up on all the plot holes and the things that I see now. Even so, I still hold this game in high regards. I've always wanted to review this game, but I hesitated. It still holds a special place in my heart from when I was growing up, and I want to treat it right. So from all of us who have enjoyed this game, past, present, and future, we're going to do our own parody of the game. And from all of us in the Brony fandom to you, we present to you Pony Fantasy VII.